linking up with Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Four becoming the Furious Five. What was
Yep.
that like when you joined forces with them and you realized it was about to go down?
Well, initially, when I made the transition to be a member of the Furious Five, actually Grandmaster Flash wasn't the first DJ to cut for the Furious Five. It was another legendary DJ by the name of DJ Charlie Chase, who was DJ for another legendary group that came 78, 79, 3 years after us, which are known as the Cold Crush Brothers and Grandmaster Caz. So DJ Charlie Chase became the DJ for the Cold Crush Brothers 3 years later in '81 when the Cold Crush Brothers formed as a group. But initially, the Furious Five's first performance, before we were actually even called the Furious Five, it was just the Furious Four and Rahiem. We performed at the same venue the same night, and I went on stage first, and then they went on stage after me. And then after they went on stage after me, they called me out on stage to perform with them because we had been practicing doing routines together with DJ Charlie Chase for about maybe 2 weeks leading up to that event. So, and then maybe that was like in August of 1979 when that happened. And by October of 1979, we recorded our first single because record industry producers and A&R people began hanging out at the local rap chambers.
So now, which one was the first single? Was that We Rap Mellow?
Yes, We Rap More Mellow was our first single, absolutely.
What was that like when y'all recorded that thing and you dropped that before the record deal and y'all was just out there trying to make it do what it was supposed to?
Right, that was more like a frisbee that didn't have a return recipient. You know, like it didn't come back to us. You know what I mean? Nobody threw it back. We flung it out there to see what it was going to do. You know, and basically we didn't have any control over, you know, the release of the song, the promotion, the marketing. We didn't even go to the record label and meet anybody from the record label. We met one person who said he was, I guess, an executive of the record label, and for lack of better description, we'll call him the bootleg Terry Lewis, not to be confused with the great Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis from the production team we know from Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So the bootleg Terry Lewis approached us one day when we were doing a jam in Harlem at this little club, and he asked us if we would be interested in making a record. And so this was shortly after the Sugar Hill Gang released Rapper's Delight. And ironically, not only did Big Bank Hank from the Sugar Hill Gang use some of Grandmaster Caz's rhymes, but he also used a piece of my rhyme, which I was telling you is hemp, dimp, the women's pimp.
Yeah.
So he used a piece of that. So, and you know, we ain't know nothing about copyrights and all of that stuff at the time. So we was just hit, you know, I was just hit as far as, you know, being able to do anything about it. So, so to me, the get back, and for us, the get back was being signed to the same label as them so that we could compete, because their records got played on the radio and ours didn't.
Yeah.
So, but that didn't happen until later on. So back to the story with the bootleg Terry Lewis. So we I don't even remember if we signed I don't think we signed a contract with Brass Records, because I was definitely a minor at the time. So, and I don't recall giving the contract to my mom or anything, like I did with the contract that we got from Sugar Hill Records. But so we went in the studio with a band of some friends that we knew from our neighborhood, and we recorded the music, which was an interpolation of Stephanie Mills' song "Put Your Body in It." And so they redid that music, and we went in the booth and we recorded our lyrics or whatever, and gave it to the bootleg Terry Lewis, and then forgot about it. And so I don't know, maybe about a month or two later, I'm walking through this shopping area in the Bronx called Fordham Road, and there was a record shop there that had speakers outside, and they was playing music. And so when I got up to the record shop, like right outside the door, they started bumping our new song, "We Rap More Mellow." And so I was like very surprised and excited. So I ran in the record store, and there was a long line at the counter. So by the time I got a chance to speak to the person behind the counter, our record went off, and they put another song on. So I was like, "Excuse me, bro. I want a copy of that joint that you just played by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. We Rap More Mellow." And he was like, "By who?" And I said, "Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five." And he was like, "The name of that song is We Rap More Mellow, but it ain't by no group called Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five." I was like, "What?" I said, "What's the name of the group?" He said, "The name of the group on the label says The Younger Generation." I was like, "What?" I said, "Yo, give me a copy of that. You know, that's my group. I'm gonna buy it." I bought a copy, and just so happens I was on my way to rehearsal to meet up with the rest of the fellas. So when I got to rehearsal, I showed them this 12-inch copy of our song that didn't bear our name, and we decided that we were going to go to the bootleg Terry Lewis's apartment, which was a few blocks away in these projects called Morehouses, and confront him to see, you know, what the deal was. And so we walked over there, and when we got to his door, the lock cylinder was missing. So there was no lock, no top lock on his door. And then one of the members of my group leaned up against the door to like see if he could hear any noise in the apartment, and the door flung open, and the bootleg Terry Lewis was gone. And we never saw or heard from him again, and we never got a dime for We Rap More Mellow.
Are you serious?
To this very day.
That's crazy. So now, how did that impact your mind state getting ready to go over this to sign with Sugar Hill Records then?
You know, because of our ignorance of the technical aspects of the music business, because you know, it is a business first and foremost, and when you don't adhere to the protocols of the business, then you get the short end of the stick and you don't get the bag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you know, we weren't wise to all of the protocols of the business and what we needed to do to protect ourselves and stuff like that. And so, you know, to us, all we knew as far as our perception with regards to the Sugar Hill Gang, we perceived them as being successful because we heard their record a million times every day on the radio. And we'd hear of them doing performances all over. So, you know, to us, that meant that they were successful. But what we never took into consideration was you could very well be a household name. Your song be on the radio all day, every single day. And, you know, you could be more well-known or just as well-known as Jesus Christ. But, but at the end of the day, you will not get the bag if what it says in your paperwork is not, you know, parallel with, you know, your all of this promotion and marketing that you're receiving. Like if you signed your rights away, or or if you negotiated bad terms and you're not receiving much and they're taking it all like they did from us. We were getting 9% of 90% of the sales of each record after recoupment. So 9% of 90%. So we wasn't even getting damn 10% of 100%. We get 9% of 90%, and they withheld 1% of the royalties for returns, because at the time, when you sold records, if the record stayed on the shelves in the record store for, I guess, whatever their statute of limitations was, the record stores got the opportunity to send the product back to the record company, I guess. But, many artists aren't aware that when they made records and when they made CDs, that there's something called mechanical license. And so that's a royalty that an artist is supposed to get based on how many copies of your song was pressed up. So you're supposed to get paid a certain amount of cents per pressed up copy. But if you don't know that, you hit, like we was. And so to this very day, 40 something years later, we are still in litigation with the officers or the last remaining descendant of the Robinson family, Leland Robinson and Sugar Hill Records estate. Yep. To this very day.
So y'all can get no clarity in 40 years?
So we had a few different law firms represent us in our attempts to sue them. And none of those attempts were successful until we got with this last law firm. And but the last law firm that we got with, they call themselves Artist Rights Enforcement Corporation, and they specialize in pursuing cases like that. And they take the case on contingents, on the condition that they keep half of your money for the lifetime of your copyright. So that's the condition that we had to accept in order to get our money from these people. So right now, we are getting some of our money, but we got these other people who got their hands in our pocket taking half of it.
My God.
Yeah.